a special meeting of Council, and I will open the meeting at 7 p.m. and pass you on to the CEO, who will read out the formalities.
Thank you, Mayor. Welcome all. My name is Alison Beckwith and I'm the Chief Executive Officer. Before we start tonight's meeting, there are some housekeeping items that I will just take you through. Council is prioritising the health, safety and wellbeing of our staff and residents in all our decisions regarding the management of our services during the COVID-19 situation. Members of the public must not attend the meeting tonight. However, there have been no provisions made to accommodate members of the public at tonight's meeting. We are keeping the meeting open and accessible online. The Council meeting will be live streamed via our website and Facebook pages so that residents do not have to attend tonight's meeting to be able to participate. As you will be able to see, we have spaced out our seating to a minimum of at least 1.5 metres apart, and amendments have been made to the hearing of submissions process tonight to allow submitters to have an opportunity to be heard without having to attend the meeting in person. Rules for public participation during Council meetings are: as the Council elections in October have now been confirmed and called, no comments will be allowed which are considered to be electioneering or attempting to influence the outcome of the elections. No statement may be derogative, defamatory or directed to an individual councillor, member of staff, ratepayer or member of the public. Statements read tonight have been amended to comply with this. In accordance with Meeting Procedures Code, a 5-minute time limit applies to all statements. A warning will sound at the 4.5-minute mark, and if required, for statements that are being read out tonight, an officer will sum up for the last 30 seconds. Any comments or private messages directed to us while the stream is live will not be presented to the councillor group or have a bearing on the conduct of the meeting. We thank you for tuning in to tonight's meeting and for adapting with us during these changing times. We are continuing to monitor announcements and warnings for the health and safety of all in the community. So just to introduce you to who we have in the room tonight. So from your right, we have Kath Brackett, Director of Community Programs, Mark Gilio, Director of Corporate Services, Tom Malikan, Councillor, Councillor Craig Langdon, the Mayor, Councillor Alison Champion, Councillor Mark De Pasquale, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Rick Garotti, Councillor Peter Castaldo, Scott Walker, Director of City Development, and Jeff Glynn, Director of Assets and City Services. To my left, we have Gina Burden, Manager of Governance and Communication, and Vivian Filano, Governance Coordinator. Also in the room tonight, we have Emily Outlaw, Council's Business Team Leader, and Luca Verducci, our Senior Digital Communications Officer. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Our meeting is being held on the traditional land of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people. And on behalf of Banyule City Council, I wish to acknowledge them as the traditional custodians. I would also like to pay my respects to the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung elders, past, present and emerging, and to acknowledge other Aboriginal and Torres Strait elders who are joining us here today. Do we have any apologies or leave of absence? Okay, there are none. Are there any disclosures of interest? Okay, there are none. There are no petitions. There are no items to speak on people, planet or place. There is one in participation, the proposed budget 2021 and proposed council plan 2017 to 2021, which is year 4, the hearing of public submissions. So this evening we are hearing some speakers in support of their submissions made under Section 223 of the Local Government Act 1989. It's in relation to Banyule's draft council plan and budget that was on public exhibition from the 7th of May and closed on Thursday the 4th of June 2020. Due to COVID restrictions to enable members of the public to participate without having to physically attend the meeting, arrangements have been made to virtually facilitate the hearing of submitters tonight. Each submitter was provided with 4 options and able to select their preferred method of participation. This evening we will be hearing from submitters by phone call, video call, pre-recorded video and prepared written statements. So I'd like to start this evening with a telephone call to Liz Jenkins, who is a representative of Deloraine Aged Care. Good evening, Liz.
Good evening to the Banyule City Councillors. I am with you now, am I, with the councillors?
You are with us, Liz. You are with us, Liz. We'd love to hear your submission. Thank you for being here tonight. Welcome. And you have 5 minutes. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. So my name is Liz and I'm from Deloraine Aged Care and I am speaking on behalf of the Deloraine community. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can. Thank you, Liz.
Are you able to hear me? Sorry.
Even better. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So the Deloraine community, the residents, their families and friends, our staff, doctors, the emergency support vehicle drivers such as ambulance, resident transport, etc. Many of the above mentioned have actually signed the petition for our request. At this stage, I would also like to thank in particular Councillor Mark Di Pasquale, also traffic engineers from Banyule, that's Jonathan and Gaurav, who actually visited us on site at Deloraine to obtain, I think, a better understanding of our request. They're able to see our gentle ramp entrance exit and the area which from that exit extends onto the footpath and the area of the footpath which then leads on to the area that we've designated would be fantastic to have as the indented parking because it is just off our ramp entrance. That we've asked for consideration for the indented parking in this area. Our key points from the submission for the indented parking is to enable our residents boarding, which is actually a minibus, so it's not a really large bus. It sort of probably takes 8 to 10 residents, but depending on their mobility, for outings. So in particular, we've noted this because it would be very good for the safety and also promotion more of independence with an easy access onto our minibus. Safe, another point would be for safe short-term parking, pick-up and drop-off options for families and visitors. Actually frequently asked by the families. And actually, I didn't say this, but the residents have also mentioned that because generally we have frequent outings on the bus. When I say that, it is usually once a week, always, sometimes twice a week, but once a week it's all day. The bus is in and out depending on where the outings are. But of course, during this unusual time of COVID-19, we haven't had that as yet again. Ambulance, and another point is the ambulance, patient transport and other services. And I might add, even though Adeline Street is in a quiet suburban area, it is quite a busy through road, being between Grimshaw Street and Nell Street. Now, that Adeline Street runs directly down to the Greensborough College, Secondary College, and also from there to the shopping area of Diamond Valley. Thank you for your consideration and allowing me to speak this evening. I really appreciate that, and just like to say good evening to you all. I hope you've been able to hear me clearly.
Thank you very much, Liz. We do appreciate you speaking to us this evening and for submitting. Can I ask our councillor, does any councillor have a question of our directors at all? Okay. Okay, Councillor Mark, you have a question of...
Just the appropriate officer, man, probably submissions that come in tonight. Costings, submissions do they have costings or anything like that, or are we to wait on that and they will come in later on? What part of the process, part of the submission process would that come in?
Yeah, Director Mark.
Through you, Mayor. So, yeah, tonight's just simply hearing the submissions. The councillors will be briefed on Monday night at the next councillor briefing with officer recommendations, including the costing of all of the submissions and officer recommendations. So that'll be on Monday night.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Liz.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy your evening.
You all. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Next we have Noella Jacobs, Greensborough Town Centre Manager for the Greensborough Chamber of Commerce. We have a video call with Noella.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear, Noella. Okay. Noella, we'll go back to Noella shortly. Our next submitter is, we've got Glenn O'Donnell and Luke Francis, who are representatives of the Victoria State Emergency Services Nillumbik and Northcote units. So do we have Glenn and Luke available?
Sorry about that, the joy of...
Nah, that's all right.
Better than in about 10 minutes.
It probably would have broken the ice a little bit.
They're about to start us up, I can see it.
Oh, have you got the live stream on?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
If
Glenn
you want
and
to talk,
Luke.
Glenn.
So Glenn and Luke, welcome. Thank you for being here this evening. We can see you, we can hear you. Please go ahead, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. So I don't have a picture, so I'm going to be talking to a blank screen. Can you still hear me? Okay, no worries. I'll carry on then. Mayor Champion and councillors, thank you for allowing us to speak on behalf of our submission. My name's Glenn O'Donnell. I'm the unit controller from the Nillumbik unit, and paired with me virtually is Luke Francis from the Northcote unit. Luke's the controller there as well. We've put in a submission to look at some funding from Banyule Council. Over the last 30 plus years, both Northcote and Nillumbik, or we were formerly Eltham, have been servicing the Banyule Council and formerly Diamond Valley and their communities through floods, storms, emergencies, any type of requirement that SES was called for. Both our units have equally responded to the community. We both have a roughly 50-50 split share with the Banyule community, and in just the last 12 months, both units have responded to just over 600 calls for assistance just from the Banyule community itself, and that's not counting all the jobs that we have within our own shires or councils as well. Up until a couple of years ago, Banyule Council used to actually provide some funding for both units to help us maintain running costs and operational expenses. But unfortunately, that dropped off through a couple of different circumstances, And with the current situation that we have, we're just looking and asking for the council to consider reinstating financially supporting both units to assist us with our operational costs. We do receive some funding from state government, plus we also do receive some funding from our local councils, but unfortunately that's not enough to maintain and keep the units running on an annual basis. And so any type of funding that we can get, we truly sort of look towards it and welcome it. And this year in particular, with the current crisis that's going on, we can't fundraise at all this year because of social distancing. So we're really struggling to get finances and financial support for our operational costs and expenses. I don't want to tie too much up at the time because I think you have the submission there that we wrote. I'd like to, if Luke's got anything to say or would like to open up for any questions that any of you may have.
So just reiterating one of the points that Glenn made, we were Northcote as a unit was supposed to be doing a tin rattle towards the end of March. Unfortunately, that was cancelled because it was exactly when all the distancing rules came in. So that was a significant slug to our income, and that's going to make life a lot harder for us. We've got to pay for the majority of the replacement of vehicles, replacement of assets, so ongoing running expenses of the unit. So these are all things that come out of our existing budgets, our running budgets, and these are things that we need to be budgeting for. So any money that you guys provides a significant assistance to us in making sure that we are able to provide that service to the community.
Does anyone have any questions that we can maybe answer?
So we have no questions of our directors. So gentlemen, thank you very much for being here this evening. We appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time for listening.
Sorry. Okay. All right, our next submitter, Gavin Watson, the Executive Officer of the Diamond Valley Community Support Incorporated, that's DVCS. Good evening, Gavin.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
We can hear you perfectly. Thank you for being here with us this evening, Gavin.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, now you have 5 minutes for your submission, so please go ahead.
All right, well, thanks for taking the time to let me talk. Obviously, I'm Gavin from Diamond Valley Community Support. Very briefly about us, we were established in 1972. We provide emergency relief and community support into Nillumbik and Banyule areas, of which approximately 85% of our clientele is out of the Banyule area. That support includes emergency relief, financial support, educational relief, and a range of community services and cancelling services. In the past 12 months, we've helped over 4,000 people with emergency relief and another over 5,000 people just in general community support in some way. Through the COVID-19 period, we had dropped down to 10% of our usual volunteers that would provide our client-side support, and we've lost in excess of $150,000 of income through our social enterprises that are actually our major funder. So through the period, though, we've kept our doors open every single day through the crisis, providing support to those who have needed. And effectively to overcome those issues, the way we've done that is through redeploying staff into roles that were required to keep the doors open. So moving forward, and the reason for my request in adding a bit more funding for this coming year, we're facing 3 new issues. And just wanted to make a quick note from my initial submission. We've done the budget since then, and I'm actually revising what I'm asking for down a little bit from our budget, so it's coming a bit better. We had a calculation error in there. So the three issues are that our social enterprises are probably going to take about 6 months to sort of rebuild back up due to the ongoing restrictions. There's an industry-wide award pay increase come December, which is an equalisation payment due in December, and that's going to increase our wage bill for the 7 months left in the year by $16,500, and that would actually equate to about $29,000 over 12 months. So that's increased on what it's currently costing us. And a lot of our volunteers are now confirmed whether they're coming back or not, and we're going to be looking at probably about a 70% return rate of our original client-facing volunteers, which means we're going to have to continue with paid staff over the next 12 months to continue to leave the doors open as they are currently, and that's going to cost us an extra $40,800. So, as I said, those figures have been revised down a little bit from my initial submission. If we don't source that additional funding over the current 2019-20 levels, then we've got some new programs that are either just commenced or have been sort of delayed or postponed due to the crisis. So they're probably not going to be able to proceed. And then our existing support is going to have to somehow drop either due to the equalisation payments and the shortage of volunteers. And we're looking somewhere at around 10 to 20% reduction in our services to be able to cover those sort of costs. So just to sort of wrap up at my end, I'm revising the amount down that I've requested an additional amount of down to $57,300 above the current levels, which would total $144,700. And to finish up, I mean, after all the great efforts of being able to keep our doors open every day during the crisis and the industry-wide prediction that there's going to be a large influx of people needing hardship support come October, is we really don't want to be reducing our support as we come out of COVID. So thanks for giving me the time just to, state our case, and I'm certainly happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Gavin. So normally this evening we would just hear the submissions. If there's any ambiguity, if any councillor has a question of one of the directors about this submission. No? Okay, so there are no questions. So Gavin, thank you very much for being with us this evening, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
All right, thank you very much for the time.
You're welcome.
Good night.
Good night.
All right.
Our next submitter is Rowena Lamb, the President of the 1st Eaglemont Scout Group. Good evening, Rowena.
Good evening, how are you?
Very well, thank you for being with us this evening.
Can you see my screen?
We can see your screen.
Excellent, am I ready to go?
All right, Rowena, you have 5 minutes, we're all ears.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Rowena Lamb from 1st Eaglemont Scouts, and thank you very much for this opportunity to present our budget submission to Shaping Banyule. I only have 5 minutes, so I've got a quick presentation to talk about where our proposal is, why we need to improve this area, what is our solution, and how this will benefit everyone who uses Chelsworth Park. Just quickly, it is at Chelsworth Park in Ivanhoe, and it's the Irving Road entrance opposite the Scout Hall that we're talking about. The reason we put in a budget submission is that there's 4 problems at this location. The pedestrian access is very, very poor. There's not nearly sufficient car parks. There's an existing maintenance and emergency access point here that is quite detrimental to the amenity of the area, and the drainage just doesn't work. So in terms of pedestrian access, pointer's not working, that's okay. I've lost the screen. Okay, in terms of the pedestrian access, you can see that the existing concrete footpath just disappears, and then people have to negotiate their way through parked cars and various obstacles. There's many activities that we run at the Scout Hall at this location which require parking. On Monday evenings, not when COVID shutdowns are happening, but normally we would have 19 Joey members being picked up 15 minutes before 28 cubs are dropped off. And these are quite young children. Joeys are 5 to 7 years old and cubs are 8 to 10. And Scouts is the largest group on Thursday night with 38 youth members. There are barely enough parking areas through here for the adult leaders and parent helpers needed on the night, not counting the drop-off and pick-up that has to happen. Exacerbating the problem is this power pole and other obstructions such as the new gate, which further take away car parks and poor clearance. Through this area, there's this maintenance and emergency access path. Because it's a vehicle path, it's going to be compacted land, it's dusty, it's gravelly, and it's right outside the Scout Hall, which we tend to like to use for formal Scout activities and informal activities as well. And lastly, the drainage doesn't work and the surface runoff causes rutting, which needs to be continuously repaired. But I'm not just here to complain, we have come up with a solution. Fortunately, we have some really good engineers and planners within our Scout community, so we've come up with a concept design which is to scale. It complies with commonly used standards and requirements, and it could be staged. It has 4 components. We'd like to put in a pedestrian path that connects the existing concrete path and goes down to the gravel path that is adjacent to the ovals. We'd like to provide some additional parking at 90 degrees opposite the Scout Hall in a way that doesn't detrimentally impact the existing trees in the area. It would be great to have the power pole moved as well, and there's some sort of parking restriction to guarantee us access to the Scout trailer that's here, and sometimes people can park in front of it. This existing parking here, if that gets relocated to the northeast, it opens up an opportunity to move the maintenance vehicle access paths further south, which would allow us to make much better use of this land. So the orange here shows a turning circle for a fire truck, and it's just there to demonstrate that we believe there is enough gap between the new gate and existing trees for the path to be moved further south. And finally, when doing all these works, it would make sense to fix the drainage so it doesn't keep going across to the pathway. In conclusion, this proposal will enhance Chelsworth Park for everyone. You just need to go down there and chat to anyone using the area and they say, please improve it. It will improve pedestrian and cycling safety. It makes the best and highest use of that land and will provide a much better gateway to the park, and it should reduce ongoing maintenance needs. So thank you very much for the opportunity to present.
It's our pleasure, Rowena, and thank you for your time this evening. Just before you go, councillors, does any councillor have a question of the Director at this point? No questions? Okay. Rowena, thank you for your time this evening. Great presentation, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next submitter is Rita Lawrence, a representative of Merry Outreach Support Services Limited. Hello, Rita. Hello,
hi,
welcome.
Hi. Okay.
Please go ahead with your submission. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Rita Lawrence. I'm the General Manager of the Merry Outreach Support Service, more affectionately known as MOS. So before I start, I'll just talk a little bit about MOS. MOS was established in 1989 with the aim of providing better access to support, housing and social options for people who experience homelessness or are at risk of homelessness. The agency also seeks to address the underlying social and structural causes of homelessness, and MOS provides a range of services to homeless and marginalised people in the Northern Metropolitan Region. The agency is committed to providing a delivery of holistic team case management to our high needs cross target group. I won't go into all the programs that we deliver in 5 minutes, but it's across a whole range of people from children to, we also have support in high-rise in both Northcote and Brunswick. So we currently deliver services from an office in Northcote, Broadmeadows, Heidelberg, Reservoir and Brunswick. This includes the Banyule Housing Support Program, which is currently co-located at Shop 48. And it's this program which we are seeking an increase to the funding we currently receive from the City of Banyule to address the existing shortfall in funding. In collaboration with the Council and other MOS and Shop 48 services, we've achieved some excellent outcomes to some of the most disadvantaged and vulnerable members of our community. The program has 2 full-time positions that are currently located at Shop 48. One position is funded by Banyule City Council and the other one is funded by DHHS. Since we assumed the management of the program, I think it was 2016, I've only been in the position for a few months, but several factors have contributed to a shortfall in funding, including the leasing and running of 2 vehicles that we originally had inherited with the program, but they were aging vehicles and have since been retired. And the office rental initially was free, and now it has increased, and so it should have, but the funding doesn't cover it. And there's been a substantial increase in wages, mostly as a result of the equal remuneration order, which we have to provide, which isn't funded for the Banyule worker. The funds we are requesting to cover this shortfall is a total of 10,460. 7,835 is for one of the vehicles that the Banyule worker drives, and the other one, and 2,625 for a CPI increase, which will go towards covering the increase in wages. I think, as I said in the submission, we're not requesting for a retrospective, any retrospective funding to cover the shortfall in the past. We just want to do this going forward. In addition, we're requesting $5,000 for brokerage funds. Last year, Banyule clients received $7,000 of brokerage funds, which were partly funded by a housing establishment fund that DHHS funds, and that's mostly to go towards housing people that are, either sleeping rough or couch surfing, or in hotels, or rent in advance, rent arrears. But it's a very small portion that we get from DHHS that could cover the Banyule. Most of the fund, that 7,000, has been actually covered by MOS in the past. The brokerage funds that would assist Banyule clients to maintain and secure housing, removalist costs, storage costs, assistance with purchasing school books, transport, food vouchers, and more recently, mobile phones have become one of the main expenditure items. I'm sure you'd all agree that in this time, it's even of greater importance to ensure that people stay connected and stay safe, and so that communication with the mobile phones, we virtually are buying mobile phones for everybody we come into contact with. Basically that's it. So it's a fairly simple request, and so we really appreciate and thank you for and acknowledge the Council's commitment to the issue of homelessness, and you're actually showing that commitment through your funding already, but the additional funds would actually guarantee the financial viability of the program going forward and continue to provide this service that we do. So
thank you very much. Thank you very much for this evening, Rita, and for presenting to us. Councillors, does anyone have a question of the directors? Okay. No? Okay. Rita, thank you for being with us this evening. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you for your time.
Pleasure. Good night. Okay. Our next submitter is Yusuf Mohammed, a representative of West Heidelberg Community Legal, which is a part of Banyule Community Health. Welcome.
Hi, everyone.
Yusuf, thank you very much for being with us this evening and reading out your submission. You will have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name's Yusuf Mahmood. I'm one of the lawyers at West Heidelberg Community Legal Service. Steph Price, the principal, does apologise. She was unable to attend today. Just to go straight into it in terms of who we are. So we're a generalist community legal centre, which is part of Banyule Community Health. We've served the most vulnerable and marginalised populations within Banyule for more than 40 years at the moment. So our approach is integrated and holistic. It's based on the understanding that health inequities and social disadvantage are connected. This is something recognised by Banyule Council in its commitment to support strong, healthy and inclusive communities as part of its 4-year plan. So at the moment, there's about 4 or 5 lawyers working part-time, and there's a great support team of student volunteers and interns. So going straight into it, the Work Development Permit Scheme, it's a Victorian government initiative which commenced in 2017. It provides a new option for vulnerable community members to deal with their fines. Basically, instead of paying them off, they can work them off doing approved programs. So at the moment, the options are limited. There's not many sponsors in the area, and community members end up with and that can cause criminal penalties, sheriff action, and can impact their mental health. So, like I said, it was rolled out in 2017, but at the moment, there's few and far between in terms of the sponsors in the area. In terms of the work development permit scheme, the WDP scheme, it allows people to engage in AOD counselling, other mental health support, other medical treatment, tutoring, mentoring, and a wide range of services. To be eligible, a person just simply needs to be in acute financial hardship, or it can also be under the other lenses of mental illness, cognitive impairment, addiction, or homelessness, and family violence. So this is why we need council's financial support. Unfortunately, in Banyule, as with other localities, as mentioned, the scheme's potential is largely unrealised because of a lack of accredited sponsors. So what we're hoping to do is employ or engage 1 day a week project position over the course of 6 to 9 months, and that person can undertake information education sessions with community organisations and explain the benefits of the scheme and how to become accredited. A lot of organisations think it's a lot of work and a lot of administration. What this person could assist with is explaining how easy and low input is required in terms of becoming a sponsor. So in terms of the issue at large, to go back, at least 20% of our casework relates to fines and infringements, and essentially people are not dealing with 5, 10 or 15 fines. They're dealing with thousands. Could be 10 to 20,000. We've had cases where people are dealing with a lot larger. So the options have sort of narrowed in this day and age. There's options to have them waived if you fall under certain categories, but it's quite a restrictive. With a moderate investment and utilising our existing positioning within the community and the organisations and stakeholders that we have, including the council, we think this pilot program could make a substantial impact in the accessibility of the scheme to Banyule residents. It's something that's already been tried and tested. We've had community sessions with organisations already, and a number of them have already signed up to become accredited sponsors. Unfortunately, due to our capacity and the limited amount of lawyers and staff that we have, it's very hard to get this program to basically advertise this program and explain this program to individual organisations. So it's a very exciting possibility, and it's something that we're really excited to have. And if it can be lifted off the ground, it'd be something that many communities, especially when it comes to young people and keeping them engaged in services. The rates of working off fines is approximately $50 an hour for certain activities, and it can be up to over $1,000 a month for other activities. So if you have young people that are disengaged from mentoring programs or sports programs or any other services, it could really bolster the capabilities and their abilities to engage these young people, especially from migrant or First Nations background, to stay engaged with these services. So that's I'll leave it at that.
Very much, Yusuf. Does any councillor have a question of a director? No? Okay. Yusuf, thank you very much for being with us this evening and speaking with your submission. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Our next submitter is John Sanderson, a representative of St George's Anglican Church.
Submission. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Good evening, John.
Good evening, Councillor Champion, councillors, Ms Beckworth and council officers. Thank you for the opportunity to make a submission and address you this evening. And thank you all for your ongoing advice and leadership of our community at this time. As Councillor Champion said, my name is John Sanderson. I'm the priest in charge of Vicar of St George's, East Ivanhoe. I've served here for 18 months, but previously lived and served in this community many years ago. The need to maintain social cohesion and community well-being at any time is well known and well established principle of council and community life. In this time of pandemic, the need to support organisations that achieve this, I would submit, is greater than ever. As a consequence, community and neighbourhood centres across Banyule are funded by council and other organisations. There's no such facility in this part of Banyule, and so as a consequence, St George's has been acting as the de facto or default community or neighbourhood centre at the heart of East Ivanhoe Village for over 60 years now. We support and offer services that embrace the whole breadth of humanity that may be found in our city. The services are provided unconditionally regardless of religious tradition or none. The community that worships in my church is happy to support other community groups and to provide these facilities to them to use. At the moment, we support 23 different groups on a regular basis through the provision of our hall and meeting rooms. We also have a community upshop, which is staffed by 30 people drawn from across the breadth of our community. And as a consequence of that initiative, we support 16 local and regional organisations which are committed to supporting primarily homeless men and women, children and young people living at the margins of society. We would like to continue to provide our facilities to the community to use as a community centre at the heart of East Ivanhoe Village. The funding we seek in this proposed budget would reduce some of our utility costs and improve the facilities that these community groups use. All of the funding we seek has already been matched by our own giving and expenditure to date or in the 12 months ahead. All areas have been fully costed and their details have been provided in the submission. The provision of this funding would enable this community centre to continue to serve the community and provide facilities at a low cost to diverse groups who, through their actions, maintain social cohesion in our community. I'd be happy to take any questions for clarification of fact.
Thank you, John. This evening, we are simply hearing your submission. However, I just wanted to confirm you have finished speaking to your submission. Is that right?
I am indeed. Thank you very much, Councillor Champion.
Thank you. So, does any councillor have a question of the director at this point? No. Okay. No, they don't. So no questions, John. So thank you very much for your time this evening, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
And you. Thank you for your time. Good night.
You're welcome. Good night. Our next submitter is Mary Ann Coffey, the Centre Manager of Eaglemont Village Traders Association. Good evening, Marianne.
Thank you.
Hello. Welcome. Thank you for being with us this evening. And you have 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes, so please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Champion, all councillors, including Councillor Peter Castaldo, my local member, the Banyule staff and the ratepayers for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'd like to thank Banyule Council and especially Economic Development for their support through the special rate scheme and of the Eaglemont Village Artisans events, as well as Banyule City's COVID-19 response, which has really led the way. Main Street Australia has urged other councils to follow this Banyule Council's impressive lead on that. My name is Marianne Coffey and I'm Centre Manager for Eaglemont Village Traders Association. I'm responsible for marketing, PR, organising events and anything else that comes up. Some may say a general dog's body. I'd like to pay my respects to the traditional custodians in the land and where we meet. And I'd like to thank Banyule Council for recent maintenance and beautification works in the village, which have been universally applauded. And we will be planning a post-COVID street party in line with council guidelines, of course, which everyone will be invited to show off just how beautiful it's looking. Tonight, I'm seeking budget consideration for $5,000 for bookkeeping, administration, governance, and marketing and events. Eaglemont Village has a tiny budget for all this activity, yet its governance is on par with the larger centres. I've been busier than ever with communications and support to traders, largely due to council meetings and requests pertaining to COVID response, as well as increased social media, promotional competitions and community outreach. Due to recent business closures, there's a small number of traders to assist me with various projects. Liz from Australian Chocolate Emporium publishes a monthly digital newsletter, which we send to all councillors, called The Village Voice, and it is growing in its database to over 1,000 people, plus other committee members chip in where they can. But basically the committee are all working harder and longer with less resources simply to try to survive 2020's unprecedented events. The additional support is continued council support for Eaglemont Village Artisans events and weekend activations. This has been through half and full road closures, and we are seeking to do more on Sundays, effectively activating Eaglemont Village on Sundays. Currently, only 4 traders open on Sundays. Eaglemont Post Office from 8 until 10, the Foodsmiths from 10 until 1, Eaglemont Cellars from 3 until 7, and the Fish and Chip Shop from 5 till 8. The Eaglemont Village Artisans has proven that it has a strong following and is a successful trigger for attracting new faces to the historic precinct. It supports artists, musicians and local organisations, including the Olivia Newton-John Wellness Centre, Heidelberg Historical Society, Neighbourhood Watch and neighbouring schools. We are planning to activate on Sunday now as well. It's curious to note that there is always a lot of people either walking, driving or cycling through the village on weekends and particularly on Sunday. We believe Eaglemont Village is geographically well positioned and lends itself to being zoned as car-free on Sundays from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. to create an open-air street market and thriving Sunday destination for locals and those from further afar, filled with food vans, buskers, local talent, and I will be pushing for as many, if not all traders to jump on board too. Food vans are the key to attracting visitors from across Melbourne, as they generally have over 2,000 followers via social media who are willing to travel to find their favourite cuisine. Having consulted a food park expert who agreed that Eaglemont Village is probably one of, if not only the only shopping strip in Melbourne that could host such events, perhaps weekly and starting off when we can. We are confident that Sunday activation will be a successful recovery strategy for Eaglemont Village. Build it and they will come. It's a no-brainer. We've been actively watching the transition of Preston Market over the past 2 years as a successful case study. They have gone from never trading on Sunday and it turned into one of their busiest family days. They had a lot of resistance from old school traders for the first 12 months and gradually managed to reinvigorate and reinvent the centre over time. This is ideally what we would be aiming to do.
We appreciate your submission. Councillors, does anybody have a question of the directors? Okay, so there are no questions. So Marianne, thank you so much for being with us this evening. We appreciate it and we hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night. Okay, our next submitter is Noella Jacobs, the Greensborough Town Centre Manager for the Greensborough Chamber of Commerce. Good evening, Noella.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, how are you going?
Good. Sorry about technology in this end.
No, that's all right. Thank you very much for being with us this evening. You have 5 minutes, so please go ahead.
Okay, I have 2 submissions tonight. The first one's the Henry Street lighting. That area has been recognised for insufficient lighting for quite a number of years now by council and police. Basically, the first submission is to try and help get a design or work on a scheme that meets the Australian standards, and be advised basically would cost about $4,320, and that allows council to move forward with what they've already put in place now to get the next stage, to get that lighting recognised and maybe developed and redesigned so it's correct. That's submission number 1. Do you want to move on to submission number 2? Hello?
Yes, please.
Yes, submission number 2 is probably more complicated. In the bus shelter, I had to go there literally every day to have my coffee because I couldn't sit down. And just watching people walk through all the pigeon poop and everything was so disgusting and dirty. The whole area is just really is a health hazard. We started cleaning it up ourselves twice a week, and council came on board with we did twice a month, once a month. But it's a daily thing. So I've been doing investigations on how we can basically relocate those pigeons. We've found where they nest. So we'd have to remove the nest, and therefore they won't come back to the same area, then remove the pigeons. No point just removing the pigeons. We've got to find the nest, and we put them, the company would actually remove them and place them somewhere else. Then we'd clean it up, pressure clean the whole area, basically sterilise it, and then repaint that whole structure. I've been at Greensborough now 15 years, and that structure has never been painted. We've painted it ourselves a little bit at the bottom, and I just feel with 16 buses and cleanliness now being so important to everybody, everyone's a bit paranoid even to come out at the moment. We are struggling as a shopping centre right now, and it would help just cleanliness. Any marketing plan that I've ever do and ever write has the environment first and the cleanliness, which is basically in line with council's objectives to make it a green, sustainable and vibrant place for healthy and connected, and include this community. So that to me is a moment very, very important. We really need help with this. The Chamber can support it too, and how we support it financially. But at this stage, we would like council to really come to party. And by the way, quickly, the other submission was the bus shelters in the middle of the street. Thank you. That has actually already started, and seats are being put in there. It's cleaned up. It looks great. So I really, really thank you for that. It's given new life to that. So I just need support in working with us on what we can do about this bus shelter. And the 16 buses that go through it.
Thank you very much, Noella. Thank you. Does any councillor have a question of a director at this point? No. Okay. No, thank you very much, Noella, for your time this evening. We hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. Good luck.
You're welcome. Good night.
Bye.
Our next submitter this evening is Kevin Hill on behalf of Banyule Ratepayers Action Group Incorporated, otherwise known as BRAG. Good evening, Kevin.
Good evening, Mayor.
Here this evening.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome, and you have 5 minutes for your submission.
got my clock on. Look, from the outset, I think that the councillors and I know some of the officers have had the opportunity to read our report, the Bragg report, and pretty much it speaks for itself, so I won't spend 5 minutes reading it. I just want to say at the outset that the budget as constructed in the proposed draft is pretty much what you'd expect in an election year. It's also pretty much a business as usual budget, and that concerns us. Now, Bragg doesn't want to sit down and criticise everything that council's doing. It simply wants to offer some alternatives for consideration. And I'll go straight to the heart of it. We disagree that a 2% rate increase is necessary. It's been said that without a rate increase, council's finances basically fall apart. We don't quite agree. At the moment, if you continued spending and didn't raise money, spending at the rate you're doing and didn't raise money, then what you say is true. Our advocacy is to stop spending to the extent that you have. Now, we know that within council that you have a budget process where an officer takes an initiative and says, I've got a good idea, that comes up for consideration, and the CEO and the relative councillors will say, or possibly say, well, that's a great idea, but there's no budget, so you go away and find some savings, and if you can, we'll do what you propose. So we're just saying the same thing. We're simply saying, find some savings, do a little less, don't go and spend on non-essential and non-imperative things, and let's weather the storm together through COVID-19. We've highlighted in our submission the issue of budget costs, employee costs, and that's troubling because there is a clear trend there, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time going through the data, but it's council's data. What we can't quite comprehend is why we need to continue to spend more and more money on employees for what, from an outsider's perspective, is no discernible change or increase in the level of services or quality of services that the general ratepayer receives. So our view is that the council needs to rein in its employee costs and find efficiencies. The second thing we want to talk about is the so-called reserves. Look, at the moment, the reserves are the reserves at June 2019 were 66 million, and they're projected to be 25.5 million in June 2021, and yet we still haven't found out the detail about the shortfall or the amount of money that has to be used to top up the defined benefits scheme, which has been at one stage cited as being 17 million, and you're proposing a $9 million deficit. And if you project out to 2022, those reserves are not looking near as flash as perhaps you might feel comfortable about. Other matters of concern are the infrastructure and initiatives. We think that a hiring freeze, going back to the employee costs, would be a great idea, and we think that just management encourage natural attrition would assist us in getting budgets back to nil deficit. So the essence of our submission is, let's be really, really careful about what we spend our money on. For instance, De Winton Reserve. De Winton Reserve does not need to be upgraded at this time. It's not imperative. We've already done it twice before. And here we are spending another $1 million plus on the job. It's outrageous. That could be deferred. You've got the project over at Belfield. Now, again, there's no imperative for that. I understand the issue of social housing, but we've got some social housing now, and I congratulate the council on its thinking about social housing in the future, but it's not an imperative. You wouldn't have to go into deficit if you didn't spend the $10 million on that project. So, that's another issue. If I come back to the issue of the Ivanhoe Library and the overrun there, another blowout in cost. So Bragg is simply saying to council, can we just slow things down and step back a little bit? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time this evening. Kevin, does a councillor have a question of a director at this point? Councillor Langdon.
Again, the organisation called BRAG keeps on raising there's an overrun at the Ivanhoe Library. Could the Director please clarify that, please? We've been told as a council time and time again there is not.
Director Scott Walker? No. Director Jeff Glynn?
Through you, Mayor, council report went up. I'm trying to think of the actual timing, was probably early last year, before the works actually started. The contractor's award to Buxton Constructions. The contractor is running on time and on budget at the moment and is looking to finish the project aiming mid-September this year.
Thank you, Director. Does Councillor have any other question of any Director at this point? Okay, no questions. Alrighty, thank you very much for your time this evening, Kevin, and your submission. Enjoy the... Oh, just a minute, sorry.
I did have a question.
Sorry, Councillor Tom, you had a question.
It was also stated that the Winton Park has been upgraded 3 times. That's not my understanding. Could the Director please clarify that, please?
Director Jeff Glynn.
Through you, Mayor, I think I heard it's upgraded twice. There was $300,000 in the 2018-19 budget for De Winton Reserve drainage and irrigation. That money was not spent at that time because we thought it would be better. It was during the investigations for that, it was needed more renovation works rather than just drainage and irrigation. We would have been wasting our money, or council would have been wasting their money spending that money doing that. So we deferred that money and we've included that in the project which is proposed in the budget for next year, which is the full renovation of De Winton Reserve. So that statement is incorrect around spending that money 2 years ago.
Okay. Councillor Tom, you have another question?
Is there a donation or a contribution to the state to that to redevelopment? And can you also just talk about the priorities for ground renovations, please?
Through you, Mayor, the state government is contributing towards the resurfacing of De Winton Reserve as part of the North East Link package of projects. So they're making a contribution, I think it's $250,000 from memory, towards the resurfacing of that ground. So a good outcome for council. In regards to all our ground upgrades, we do have a priority program that goes out for 10 years, and De Winton Reserve is in that priority program. That's why it's coming up next year, or this year, next year, 2021.
Thank you. Does any councillor have any other question of a Director? None. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time tonight, Kevin, and your submission. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good night. Okay. Our next submitter is Amina Liban, who is a member of our community, and this is a pre-recorded video.
I'm from Heidelberg West. I'd like to thank Council for this opportunity. The submission that I've put forward was influenced by the community. There are many strengths in the draft budget for which Council is to be commended. To name a few, these are the COVID-19 economic support packages, the commitment to freeze several fees and charges, investment in community infrastructure, and strong action on climate change. However, there are a few areas the budget can be strengthened to deliver better outcomes for residents, and in areas such as sustainable transportation and the rate relief. I'd like to work with Council to help bridge the gap and help in responding to the community needs. I look forward to receiving updates on the submissions. Thank you.
Our next submitter is Claire Byron on behalf of Ben Waldron of Alfred Street residents.
Hi, my name is Claire Byron and I live at Heidelberg Heights with my partner Ben Waldron. We're speaking on behalf of the community and our fellow neighbours regarding our concerns around the safety of Alfred Street and the growing number of cars that are speeding through our street. We have lived here now for over 2 years and have noticed that more and more commuters are using Alfred Street as a thoroughfare and, to be honest, a racetrack. We've personally witnessed cars exceeding speeds of 80 kilometres an hour, and using Alfred Street as a late night hooning destination due to its wide and straight nature. If you compare Alfred Street to Dresden Street, which runs parallel to Alfred, you'll find a lot of similarities. However, the striking difference is that there are speed humps and roundabouts on Dresden Street. Due to this, there are far less cars that are speeding through Dresden Street, and I'm sure as a result, far less accidents. Similarly, due to the roundabouts at the meeting of Alfred Street and St Helier Street, it has visibly slowed down traffic, but we need more. As you may know, we have St James Park and Playground on Alfred Street, which is a prime location for young families, children and pets to spend their time together. Yet there are still cars speeding in excess of 80 kilometres an hour on a Sunday afternoon because there is just nothing to stop them. It only takes one accident to ruin countless lives, and living here for only 2 years, we have witnessed many critical accidents on Alfred Street. We're thinking about having a family of our own one day, but honestly, I do not feel safe raising children on this street, and I know many others share the same concern. The safety of our neighbours, friends and family is this community's priority. We propose the construction of 2 additional roundabouts at the corner of Alfred and Montgomery Street and the corner of Alfred and James Street. As mentioned previously, there is already one roundabout at the corner of St Helier and Alfred Street, which has worked extremely well, but one is just not enough for such a long and wide street. If this is not possible, at a bare minimum, we would like speed humps installed, because as we mentioned before, safety is the #1 priority for this community, which I'm sure you all share. We appreciate you taking the time to listen to our submission, and we hope to hear some positive news soon. Thank you.
Our next submitter is also via pre-recorded video, Lucy Holden, a representative of Watsonia Neighbourhood House.
Thank you for the opportunity to make this submission. My name is Lucy Holden and I represent Watsonia Neighbourhood House. We are proud to acknowledge the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people as the traditional custodians of this land. I am committed to using my position and inherent privilege to address systemic injustices in our community. Watsonia Neighbourhood House would like to thank Council for allocating over $10 million in the proposed budget 2020-2021 through the Economic Support Package. The package will provide much needed relief to residents, small business and community organisations such as ours. We appreciate Banyule Council for the continued support of neighbourhood houses as a key initiative under People, Strong, Healthy and Inclusive Communities, and Council's recognition of our community development work. We are all in challenging times and neighbourhood houses are working hard to meet the changing needs of people in our community. On the 25th of March, the federal government ordered neighbourhood houses to be closed to the public, severely impacting our model of service provision, as well as depleting our income streams from service users. We have adapted our services to ensure we remain connected to local residents and deliver initiatives to meet rapidly changing community needs. Whilst remaining close to the public, our staff have continued to work at full capacity. We have experienced an increase in demand for services, especially food relief and emergency aid. We have adapted our social inclusion initiatives to be COVID safe, as well as inclusive of people in our community who may not be able to easily connect digitally. As a community development organisation, we have risen to the challenge with creativity and determination, and with Council support we can achieve much more. In our work, we are already seeing the financial and social impact of COVID-19 crisis on individuals and families. Loss of income, housing and food insecurity, compromised mental health and wellbeing through isolation. But this is just the start, and it will get worse when JobKeeper and JobSeeker support stop at the end of September. These stresses are contributing to an increase in frequency and severity of family violence in our community. For some, their homes in Banyule are not safe places. Not all abuse is visible. For example, older people will become more vulnerable to financial abuse and coercion as families experience increasing financial hardship. We welcome Council's key initiative to investigate its options in responding to Victorian Government's Gender Equity Bill. We would encourage Council to take more decisive action through finalising and implementing a Banyule Gender Equity Plan this year and continuing to be an active participant in the Building Respectful Community Partnership. We would welcome Council's support in convening a network for women leaders in our community. A network could provide opportunity for women leaders to connect, support each other, share information and perhaps work together to address community issues and priorities. Council are in a position to influence positive change in gender equity in our local community, resulting in a more equitable and safer future for everyone. We are pleased that Council is responding to the current COVID-19 crisis while continuing to think long term and share our collective vision of a sustainable, healthy and inclusive community. It would be easy to go back on prior commitments to carbon neutrality by 2028 in favour of short-term goals, but to do so would be regressive. Every single one of us has adapted to a new normal during this public health crisis. So as we work on our recovery, it is the perfect time to implement new practices in our commuting, consumption and waste management for a more resilient community. We know that there are some people in our community who do not have the same opportunities to stay well. Inequalities that already existed are widened and can have long-term impacts, especially for young people. We support Council's Inclusive Employment Program, providing local employment opportunities for people experiencing disadvantage and barriers to employment. Improving an individual's opportunity to participate in paid employment is life-changing. In closing, we would like to see action on gender equity through finalising and implementing a Banyule Gender Equity Plan. Increase Council's commitment to action on climate change. Continued delivery of the Banyule Inclusive Employment Program. Continued implementation of the Economic Support Package to support our local community and the economy. Watsonia Neighbourhood House welcomes opportunity to work with Council, especially as we move into recovery phase from COVID-19 as restrictions on activities start to ease.
Our last pre-recorded submitter is Catherine Barling, a representative of Montmorency Community Group.
I'm Catherine Barling from Montmorency. I have the privilege of speaking with you today on behalf of the members, supporters and participants with the Montmorency Community Group. I'm speaking to you today on the lands of the Wurundjeri people, the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, and acknowledge our gratitude that we share this land today, our sorrow for the costs of that sharing, and our hope that we can move to a place of partnership and justice together. We acknowledge that sovereignty has never been ceded. We endorse Council's proposed plan and budget, and particularly the considered support for climate action and maintaining the commitment to achieving carbon neutrality by 2028. As Banyule's oldest suburban transition group of 10 years, we thoroughly support the continuance of this important work, started in 2018, rather than reducing or revoking that commitment. This includes the important declaration of a climate emergency in December 2018. We see that the financial and social benefit to Banyule, coupled with the extensive COVID economic response, will be good for the community, for organisations, for local residents and for business. As an organisation committed to social justice, environmental sustainability and community resilience, we appreciate and encourage your good work. We look forward to working with you to fulfil that plan. Thank you.
We have two more submissions that will be read out by two of our directors. The first is from Bree McCauley, a member of the community. Submission will be read out by our Director of Assets, Jeff Glynn.
Thank you, Mayor. This is on behalf of Bree McCauley. Firstly, thank you for the opportunity to address Council by way of a written submission as part of the development of the Budget 2021 and Council Plan 2017 to 21. I'm a Banyule resident, and since moving to the area in 2013, I have seen Banyule quickly improve for the better. I want to clear from the outset that I think Banyule Council are doing a terrific job in making Banyule a better place to live, work and enjoy. The basis of my submission today is to continue building on the work that has been done to make Belfield better. I would like to see Budget 2021 continue to be allocated in two main areas for Belfield. Number one, Ford Park Master Plan, developed in 2016. Ford Park is the heart of Belfield. The park brings families and the community together to enjoy our green spaces and sporting facilities. Recent upgrades to the playgrounds and skate area has further added value to the park for the community to enjoy. Investment in council planning should continue for the next stage of the developments to Ford Park, as they are critical to making this iconic park even better. These include A, appropriate fencing around both sporting ovals, similar to the fencing near the upgraded communal playground. B, upgrades to sporting facilities, including change rooms for players and officials to support local clubs. C, upgrades to cricket facilities and basketball network courts or netball courts. And D, upgrades to public toilets. After hours closure of public car parks. Maintaining our public areas for everyone to enjoy goes to the heart of the community. With the plethora of sporting facilities in the Belfield area comes public car parking facilities. In the area, there are public car parks at Ford Park and the Yarra Valley Hockey Centre and a tennis club on Liberty Parade, Belfield. I make a submission to Council to allocate budget to invest in the upgrade of public car parks in the Belfield area to allow for their closure to vehicles after hours. When sporting activities have completed each day, evening, then public car parks should be closed to vehicles. After-hour car park closures will benefit the Belfield community in the following ways. A, public spaces will be protected from vandalism and dumping of hard rubbish will be reduced. B, communal disturbances by public vehicle gatherings, noise and public alcohol consumption will be reduced. And C, sporting facilities will be protected from vandalism. Let's continue to make Belfield better by investing in its bright future. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to receive questions via email, which Council now has.
Thank you, Director. The final written submission will be read out by Director Scott Walker, our Director of City Development, from Stavros Zikou on behalf of the Ivanhoe Traders Association.
Thanks, Mayor. On behalf of the Ivanhoe Traders Association, based on our recent budget submission for the 2020-2021 budget, the Ivanhoe Traders Association would like to replace and upgrade the existing and outdated 2 shopping centre gateway signs on opposite ends of Upper Heidelberg Road in the Ivanhoe Shopping Centre. The signs are currently located outside St James Church at 252 Upper Heidelberg Road, and the other is outside the Ivanhoe Vet at 51 Upper Heidelberg Road. The new signs will replace the existing light boxes with the latest digital LED screens that can be remotely accessed via wireless technology. Their primary purpose will be to both welcome the thousands of commuters along Upper Heidelberg Road into Ivanhoe and best promote what the Ivanhoe community has to offer in real time. A similar budget submission was overlooked in last year's budget. Feedback at the time included Council wanting to look at how the Bell Street Mall sign, Council funded, would work out. The Ivanhoe signs will be similar to the Bell Street Mall sign or screen. It has been over 12 months since the Bell Street Mall sign has been operational, which has worked flawlessly and received incredibly positive community feedback, including direct economic benefits for businesses. The same Bell Street Mall sign and screen has also helped Banyule Council and other community organisations get their messaging out for events. The Ivanhoe Traders Association is seeking a financial contribution of $50,000 plus GST from the 2020-2021 council budget towards the project. We believe the upgrading of these signs will have a positive economic impact for the Ivanhoe traders. Given the current economic climate, we believe these signs can help mitigate the economic downturn by helping drive traffic into local businesses. Due to COVID-19, unfortunately, we have had several long-standing Ivanhoe businesses close and disappear overnight. Australia has just entered its first recession in some 30 years, and economists do not see this situation easing anytime soon, so we must do everything we can to help local businesses. After missing out last year, we are hopeful in gaining council support on our submission this year. Please let us know if you require any further information in relation to the above.
Thank you, Director. So, councillors, of the 2 written and presented submissions and of the 4 pre-recorded video submissions, does any councillor have a question of the directors? No. Okay. I'm going to read out the recommendation as it can't be shown on the screen. So the recommendation for this evening is that 1, Council receives and hears for consideration the submissions in respect of Council's intention to adopt the proposed budget 2021, sorry, I'll say it properly, 2020 and 2021, and proposed Council Plan 2017 to 2021, Year 4, in accordance with sections 125, 129 and 223 of the Local Government Act 1989. 2, the submissions received be included in the report to Council meeting to be held on Monday, the 6th of July 2020 for Council consideration and to determine the outcomes for the submissions. Can I please have a councillor move a motion? Councillor Tom Melican. Can I please have a seconder? Councillor Craig Langdon. Councillor Tom Melican, as the mover, would you like to speak to the item?
I'd just like to thank the officers for their efforts to make sure we could all receive all those submissions, but I'd especially like to thank all the residents that took the time out to submit submissions, but also presenting them here tonight. I'm sorry we didn't respond as you probably would have liked us in normal circumstances. Given the current constraints, it's difficult for us to respond to all the submissions, but I can assure you we have listened very carefully, and I'm looking forward to the debate and the discussion that this council will have to finalise our budget. But I'd also just like to thank the staff for the hard work they've done in getting the budget to this stage. It's been an incredibly difficult process. The pandemic has changed things enormously. I think this council has responded very well to that emergency. I think our first relief package provided urgent relief, and I think this budget will continue to do that as it does offer relief to those people most in need. So it has been an incredibly difficult process. I thank all the residents for their input and submissions. I can assure you this council is working as hard as possible to make the best possible decisions to ensure that the whole of Banyule and every resident recovers and thrives in years to come. So thank you very much for your submissions. We very much appreciate your input and take it extremely seriously.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Craig, as the seconder, would you like to speak to the item?
I'll cut it as brief as I can. I'd certainly like to echo what Councillor Melican has said. For all those who made the effort doing submissions, pre-recorded and streaming or whatever they did, and all our staff. Particularly want to thank our staff at the end of the room who are taking our pictures, helping everyone get connected with us. I don't want to forget them as well, so thank you very, very much for everyone down at the other end of the room.
Thank you, Councillor. Would any other councillor like to speak to the item? Councillor Mark.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, would like to just say a couple of words. So thank you. We see there's 40 odd submissions this budget submission period. I think that's really good. I think that's about par from what we normally have in previous budgets as well. But what I have noticed tonight, Mayor, there aren't, in previous budget submissions, there's actually been, sometimes they're doubled up, or sometimes we receive 4 or 5 on the same submission. That hasn't happened. So that is really good. So it means that the community are getting together and consolidating their voice as one, which is fantastic. I really do want to thank the community members for submitting today, putting the videos together, talking on the phone, using the technology. It's not easy. Presenting in front of a group, presenting in front of the community, it does take some guts, Mayor, so I really do want to thank the community for stepping out and being a voice for others in the community. There are 130-odd thousand people that live in our municipality. I do want to thank the staff and officers for making the technology available. I think it actually worked better, in my opinion. The videos, the submissions this year, it seemed a lot smoother and the points have gotten across. So I look forward to the debate, the discussions through the week and into next week. So look, I think it's been very successful so far. So I think, and it's important to also mention, Mayor, as well, sometimes I do hear in the week after, there are some people in the community who missed out. Please do continue contacting your councillors. If there is something that is needed at any time, please contact us. You have our emails, you have our telephone numbers. Please contact us, even through the budget process, even after tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Does any other councillor like to speak to the item? Okay, I might just add a little bit. I would also like to thank the officers who have worked to make sure tonight goes very smoothly. There is a lot of work done behind the scenes with this new process that we have been following, so I would particularly like to thank all those officers associated with that. And finally, of course, I would like to thank also our community who have not only presented this evening but who have also just simply written submissions. Thank you for your ideas and speaking on behalf of your community, and thank you for your leadership in the space that you are. We do appreciate it. So I now put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? That is carried. Before I close the meeting this evening, I would like to declare that I have made a mistake. Earlier this evening, I read out apologies and leave of absence and said there are none. I must acknowledge that Councillor Wayne Phillips is not with us this evening. So Councillor Wayne Phillips is an apology, and Councillor Wayne, we miss you. Council has now heard the Section 223 submissions and will now consider these submissions at a council meeting to be held on Monday, the 6th of July 2020, where the agreed outcomes are to be endorsed. After that consideration to adopt the proposed budget 2020-2021 and proposed Council Plan 2017 and 2017 to 2021, which is Year 4, with or without amendment, will be held at a council meeting on Monday, the 27th of July 2020. Please note that at both of these meetings, no request to speak will be allowed on these items. The Section 223 process has provided the due process of speaking to these items and provides for fairness of all submitters, with others having a subsequent say. The next ordinary meeting of Council will be held on Monday, the 6th of July 2020. I now close the meeting at 8:29 p.m. Thank you for your attendance. Enjoy the rest of your evening.